Welcome to the Survivor to Thriver show with your happiness expert, Samia Bano. Do you feel stuck, silent, and stressed? Is something hurting your heart and soul? Are you burning yourself out? If so, you are in the right place because this is the podcast people from all over the world join in to learn exactly how to stop suffering and start living with inner peace and joy. Let's get started. Hey, last episode I shared with you some really important teachings related to forgiveness. Teachings that really helped me to understand from a place of deeper wisdom why it is so important for us to forgive and be committed to forgiving ourselves and forgiving each other when we wrong ourselves or when someone else may wrong us. And there are two main teachings there. The first one that I'm going to mention today is, this notion, this idea that, we need to recognize that to be human is to be imperfect. It's to be alive with certain weaknesses, right? None of us has the ability or the capacity to always do the right thing, always make the right decision, always do exactly what even we know to be right and good or the best, right? Because we have some inherent weaknesses in our characters, in our psychology, in our in just our human makeup, in the way that we are. And given this fact of human existence, it's so important that we commit to being forgiving, right? Because when we forgive ourselves, when we forgive each other, it allows us to heal the harms that have been done. It allows us to heal our relationships so that we can move forward from having made those mistakes, from even having committed wrongs against each other, and move forward in a way that is positive, that promotes inner peace for us and in the context of our relationships, right? So even at the level of our communities and our societies, without forgiveness, everything would break apart. So it's there's actually an essential need for us to be forgiving. That's one thing, right? And then the other thing is, and this is another whole other level of depth and connection to this whole other level of deeper wisdom. The second idea, of why we need to commit to forgiving. And this is, enshrined so beautifully in one of the verses of the Quran which is the Holy Scripture of the Muslims. And by the way, the notion of it, the teaching of it, like I said, it's not restricted to just Islamic teachings, but that's the context within which I learned it. And, God in the Quran, He's speaking, and He asks this one question. And He says, do you not want me to forgive you when you make a mistake or commit a sin? And if you do want me to forgive you, then you must forgive yourself, or be a person who forgives also. You must, it's like forgive others, forgive yourself when you make a mistake or when someone wrongs you. It's like, and it took me a moment to really understand, wow, why is that? What's that about? What's the reasoning there? It's okay, fine, God's saying, if you want me to forgive you, or you expect me to forgive you, you need to be forgiving yourself, right? Okay, so God's saying that, but it's why? Why is that important? Why do I need to do that? And then I understood. Oh, this is about the golden rule. The golden rule. Now, the golden rule is another one of those teachings that is universal to pretty much every faith tradition, every spiritual tradition that I know of. Quite literally present in every faith tradition, every spiritual tradition that I know of. The golden rule. Now, in every tradition, it's expressed a little differently, but the essence of it is the same. So in the Islamic context, it is said, you must love for others what you love for yourself. In the Jewish context, I believe it is, it says, don't do unto others what you would not have them do unto you, or do unto others what you would have them do unto you. Right? Treat others the way you want to be treated. It's so when I make a mistake or I commit a sin, I want to be treated with mercy and compassion, and I want to be forgiven. So if that's what I want for myself, so then that's exactly what I have to do for anyone else who makes a mistake or commits a wrong that impacts me, including myself, by the way. Because we can wrong ourselves. We do it all the time too. So it's so I need to treat when I'm wronged, I need to practice the same kind of mercy and compassion and forgiveness towards the one who has wronged me as I expect for myself, as I want for myself, as I love for myself. This is key. This is absolutely key that I be consistent in this way, because the golden rule forms the essence. It defines the essence of moral, ethical behavior. right? So it's like, oh, okay, so if I'm a person of faith, and I'm committed to leading a moral, ethical life in alignment with the teachings of my faith tradition or my spiritual tradition, then you know what? I have to apply those teachings in every context, in every area of my life. You can't pick and choose. You can't say, oh, I'll apply the golden rule in this area of my life, but forget about it in that area. That's not the way it works. Because our lives, there's different aspects to our life. There are different parts to our lives, but everything is interconnected. Everything is interdependent. So we need consistency in the values that we apply, in the values with which we lead our lives. Otherwise, you're going to drive yourself crazy. You're going to, produce. Not only are you going to drive yourself crazy, even if you don't drive yourself crazy, which you're very likely to, you're going to produce very inconsistent results in your life, right? Because you're in this area, you're applying these values, and in another area, you're applying a completely different set of values. And and especially, this is especially dangerous when you're doing it in a thoughtless way, or doing that by default because you haven't actually put conscientious thought into what you're doing and why you're doing it. Oftentimes what ends up happening is that, we end up acting in very contradictory ways in different parts of our lives. And so then we end up producing all kinds of contradictory results in our lives. And then we, sit there and we're like worried and we can't understand. It's like, why? Why is this happening? And it's like all this frustration that we end up creating for ourselves. So look, guys, make your life easier for you and be consistent. Be very careful about the values that you choose to live by. Seriously, make sure you take some time out of your life and consciously bring to your awareness, it's like, what are the values that I hold, that are the most important to me, that I'm living my life by, that I want to live my life by? And then examine your life. It's like, am I being consistent in applying these values that I hold, that I want to live by? And I can tell you that where you find inconsistency in the application of those values in your life, that is where you will find unhappiness in your life. That is where you will find a sense of conflict. That is where you will find a lack of contentment and fulfillment in your life. Because one of the conditions, one of the keys to living with inner peace and joy and happiness is to live with authenticity, to be true to our values, to the beliefs that we hold. If you're not being consistent to your values, if you're not being consistent to your beliefs, you will find yourself struggling to achieve the kind of inner peace and joy and contentment and fulfillment that you seek and desire for yourself. It's just one of the laws of how human nature works, how human psychology works, right? So, hey, learn. Once you understand this idea, learn, and you've learned this lesson, it's like, apply apply it. I can tell you it'll change your life, right? The better you get at applying it, the more consistent you become in the way that you live your values in your life and all the different aspects of your life. The more peace you will experience, the more contentment you will experience, the more happiness and joy you will experience. Okay, so all right, now that was a really important point for us to talk about, so I'm really glad that I did. But I remember that at the end of last episode, I promised you that from this episode I will share with you some actual tools and processes that you can use to help you engage in the forgiveness process more effectively. I haven't forgotten that. So, but looking at the time, I think what I'm going to do is I will tell you one of the tools and processes that I love to use, and I don't think I'll have time to go very much in depth with it, but I'll get started talking to you about it today, and then we'll just pick up where we leave off today in our very next episode. Okay, so no worries. All right. So hey, since we were talking about the golden rule and applying the golden rule in the context of being forgiving, actually, that's one of the reasons why I started talking about that whole notion with you this episode, is because the very first tool that I want to tell you about and that I want to share with you applies that idea. It incorporates it. It's like built in. The golden rule, the application of the golden rule is built into this tool. Okay, and the process that we go through in the application of the tool. That is why I absolutely love and adore the use of this particular tool. There's just, wow, it's really, really simple, but it's like just, there's such profound wisdom that is built into its process that it's amazing. It truly is. What am I talking about? I've actually mentioned this to you before. It's the loving kindness meditation. The loving kindness meditation. And this is actually a gift that we have received from the Buddhist tradition, that comes to us from the Buddhist tradition. And it is in fact one of the most popular forms of meditation in America, in the context of what people know about the Buddhist tradition and how it is taught, and what about it, the different teachings from within the Buddhist tradition that get shared. Certainly within America, the loving kindness meditation is, one of those things that, it's like right there near the top of the list. Okay, so so the reason I mention that is because it is very, very, very easy for you to find detailed instructions on how to do the loving kindness meditation for yourself. All you have to do is go online. If you use Google, hey, I love Google, so I just talk about Googling everything, but you can use whatever search engine you prefer, but just search for loving kindness meditation. Okay, and you'll come up with so many different websites that give you detailed information on exactly how to engage in the loving kindness meditation. And many of those websites also have audios that you can download for free and just kind of like put on those audios and follow along to practice the loving kindness meditation as a guided process. Okay, so it's like super simple for you to learn how to do it and for you to practice it in your everyday life. So with that information for you, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up right here for today. And I will connect with you tomorrow, and when I do, I will actually delve into some of the reflections around the loving kindness meditation, in terms of, it's like, wow, it's just such an amazing process. So I will get more into it with you in our next episode. All right, so until then, remember that if you find yourself struggling with this, please do not continue to struggle with it on your own. Reach out for some help and support. And I am one person that you can reach out to for the help and support that you need. Just go to my website at www.academyofthriving.com. Click on the Contact Us page and you will see exactly how you can connect with me. So until we connect next time, I wish you lots of peace and joy.